Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Patience, and I decided to come at you guys with a little new one. So in this one, I'm going to do Batman Arkham City, and I just want to bring out a few points here on there because I believe they want to make a new Batman game, and I just want to highlight a good couple of things before we go through. Now, obviously, we're all familiar with Catwoman, but Catwoman has a distinctive I guess you could say persona as a character changes through the duration of the Batman series. Now, obviously, I'm one of those guys that's used to her being white or Caucasian, blonde and blue, but we know that Halle Berry was one of the main on-screen celebrities that played a black Catwoman, which was very interesting on the take. And I think it was a very good choice to go down because we know that Catwoman is supposed to be a very sexy, beautiful, and seductive young lady. We know that Zoe's Kravitz 2022 version, and the very first lady we saw was Eartha Kitt, who played the Catwoman in 1960. So we've had quite a few black Catwomen, and obviously we have Michelle Pfeiffer who played it in the I think it was 92, 96 version of the Batman with Michael Keaton. And she did a very good role. But like I said, I think Catwoman 1989, I think she started, what did start off as a white lady. But does this need to change? Especially when we know that, yes, tropical women can look very delicious, but as we see on the screen here, that is a very tasty, delicious looking physique on a Caucasian lady, guys. And Catwoman does not necessarily need to change, some could say, because the features and the body physique is just as swaying as I guess you could say one would think of the Catwoman to be. Like I said, Michelle Pfeiffer played a very good role, and a lot of these images that we're seeing here are just images that are pulled up off of offline. Off of online. The character on the left is a redub of what I did from the character on the right. I trimmed those titties down and just to try and make her look voluptuous, but kind of slender at the same time. Very pretty. So yes, we have seen Catwoman being tackled in various ways, and I can't say that any have failed the role or the task. But she is a thief, and she is also very cunning and slippery, and she is also supposed to be very smart because she rivals and challenges Batman on occasions where he will have flings with her, of course. And so, taking this into consideration, is the image of Catwoman something that needs to be tackled, not just for movies, but for games? The only thing I do tackle is that I'm not really too fond of the fact that, obviously, we had another Catwoman and Hathaway's version, but Caucasians being very dirty in regards of how they manage their pets in the streets that we pay taxes on, and their behavior towards that and how they might handle pets. If you ask me personally, putting them into our games and having them dub over our games is kind of disrespectful, not just in the real world but in our gaming world, because it's like, do you really feel comfortable playing with someone that you feel disrespects you? And if that's okay, then what does that say about me or us playing with a character or person that treats the general public in such a way? So I guess my argument would be to choose a Catwoman wisely. Would it be wise to choose a Caucasian, a young white lady to play Selena once again? Or would it be a wise choice to kind of get someone who can do the traditional blonde and blue whilst kind of bringing a new taste or flavor to who Selena is supposed to be, would be my argument. But yes, Halle Berry did a wonderful job. you had quite a few Catwomen that came in that played in the 1960s. It wasn't just Eartha Kitt. You also had Julie Newmar and Lee Merriweather. Halle Berry in 2004's version was obviously very good, and Hathaway 2012, and Zoe Kravitz obviously being the latest version that we know of in 2022 version, and likelihood onwards, at least within Robert Pattinson's versions of the Batman. So this is something that I was querying and wondering and pitching onto you guys. She does have an original feature. She does have an original look and an original identity. Is this something that we necessarily want to take away, or is it something that we should not necessarily enhance, but create an adaptation to? Speaking on this note, it's something that I want to bring out a little bit later, taking into consideration what that word actually means, as it were, so we get a full understanding of what it is I'm actually trying to say, guys. So this is the character Catwoman, and this is the game, obviously, Batman Arkham City. So I just wanted to kind of project this one onto us a little bit, and so I'm going to leave it here and get back when the Batman comes onto the scene, which is going to be a very interesting take on us.
Wake up, Mr. Wayne. We have much to discuss.
Strange?
If you're watching this,
You won't get away with this.
I'm dead.
Okay, guys, here the first thing we see is that Bruce Wayne has blue eyes. In the very first instance of Bruce Wayne's creation in 1943 in the comics, he had, or at least in the very early in the comics, he had brown eyes. This is Lewis Pat Wilson, who played in 1943, brown eyes. But then we got Adam West in 1960, he had blue eyes. The reason being is because of they wanted to keep traditional to the comic books. However, there had not been a change at this time. They say that they wanted to keep Bruce Wayne's eye color, or as it reads here, Bruce Wayne's eye color is traditionally blue in most comic book adaptations. Now, if you read this over once, especially with a low level understanding of what you're reading, or your perceptiveness is not at its sharpest or keenest, and you're just brushing over this piece of text, you will miss exactly what it means, the meaning of the word adaptations, because the way they've kind of placed the text here is very skillful, very it's quite obscure, as it were. Like, Bruce Wayne's eye color is traditionally blue in most comic book adaptations. However, in some animated series, such as Batman Arkham Asylum, he is depicted with black eyes. The inconsistency in his eye color can be attributed to different artistic styles and design choices across various media, including the DC Animated Universe, DCAU, and the new 52 relaunch of the DC Universe. Now, in the new relaunch of the DC Universe, I'm sure his eyes are blue. And in the DC Animated Universe, I haven't researched this, but his eyes may be blue. However, as it goes on to say, however, in some animated series such as Batman Arkham Asylum, he is depicted with black eyes. Why is he depicted with black eyes? Because if you go back to the true traditional, when he was created, his eyes are black. So taking that into consideration, as we can see depicted here in the top left corner, that's the first comic of Bruce Wayne, and we can see that his eyes are black. The fourth picture, black, and then we go off and we start seeing blue eyes. Picture after that, his eyes are, when I say black, I'll say brown, because he's kind of got teddy bear eyes. And then the picture after that is brown. And then the picture after this one, which would be the eighth picture, his eyes are blue. and then we go on to the final picture and his eyes are back to normal again. So we can see that somewhere across the line, the there's a strong determination to want to change Bruce Wayne's eye color from brown to blue, and this is not something that started recently. It's something that started on screen first, starting from back in the 1960s. So this can be kind of confusing for fans, because why would you want to change the eye color of your main lead character, and why keep changing back and forth? So taking that into consideration, the word adaptation, what does that mean? The action or process of adapting or being adapted. The adaptation of teaching strategy to meet students' needs. Adaptations to school curriculum. So what that indicates about the word adaptation is that you've changed something from its origin state in order to make it become more applicable, I guess you could say, or serve a better purpose within its current nature of things. So we move on to a second kind of notion as to what the word adaptation may mean, or a better way of how to present it would be a film, television drama, or stage play that has been adapted from a written work. A three-part adaptation of Hard Times. So if we proceed a little bit more, it goes on to say biology, the process of change by which an organism or species becomes better suited to its environment. Living in groups in an adaptation to increase the efficiency of hunting. So this is what the word or the term adaptation means. Taking a word from a sentence and bringing it back to its singularity, you get a deeper and more firmer understanding of what it actually means. There's 3 bullet points here, and each point has its own meaning, so you got to pick from which one kind of makes more significance to what is being portrayed to us via the previous text that had been used to describe the color of Batman's eyes. So I was more familiar with Michael Keaton's Batman. And so he was the first Batman that I ever knew. I don't even think I knew of him in the comics or in the cartoons. So he was the first Batman that I ever met. And so the first Batman I ever met was Blue Eyes. This is something that I kind of want to move on to in my next. So we have Michael Keaton and we have Val Kilmer, both Batman players, and they had blue eyes. And then obviously we got George Clooney, very handsome guy, but they brought it right back to the origin state where he's got the brown eyes, he had dark hair again, so he was a tall, dark, handsome, rich guy. Now it's just to say, what was a standout feature of his Batman movie? He's Batman from majority of the Batman movies that we're familiar with today and prior. I would say spanning all the way back to the 1960s. I never saw the Batman of the 1943 era. But George Clooney's Batman was more comical. There was a lot more comedy in it, and I can't really remember the fighting too well, but I remember that it was very, there was a lot of jokes going on in this Batman, and it was one of the things that kind of turned me off about that Batman movie. And I think Val Kilmer's one might have been a bit, had a lot of comedy in it as well. And the tough thing about each of them is where Arnold came in, George Clooney's one, he was a comedian in that. And I don't think it was this one where Tommy Lee Jones was in it. But there was also Jim Carrey. I think they came in Val Kilmer's one. And obviously they were both comedians. Which, George Clooney's version of the Batman continued with the comedian side of Batman, I guess you could say. And then from there, we went off into Christian Bale's version of the Batman, which obviously he had brown eyes, dark hair again. Which is like the original look of who Bruce Wayne actually is, and he had that kind of violent side to him, but the choreography via combat was not as I guess you could say ferocious as the newer upcoming Batman from Heath's role, but he still had I guess you could say the detective side of the Batman, where he would kind of break things down and investigate a scene right down to the backbones. He broke things down right back to its bare state, and really kind of brought things out for the audience to get a grasp of not just his wit, but how he would handle the situation. And once he did kind of like commit to his task and achieve what he went out to do, he was kind of left in awe, which I thought was amazing. So we tackled the role of the Batman pretty awesomely, and then obviously we got we got Ben Affleck's version, and his one was obviously a hell of a lot more brutal, a hell of a lot more to what I like. He was a little bit more. I think Christian Bale's version might have been a bit more stealthy, but they both had that stealth thing going on. So they both kept to that true identity of who the Batman actually was, and obviously they got that. Each three of these guys, I would have to say, had that handsome look of a Bruce Wayne, but I personally feel like Ben Affleck's version of Bruce Wayne is a bit more closer to the origin of who Bruce Wayne actually is. I feel like when he's on the scene, I'm actually looking at a Bruce Wayne. And then his Batman was obviously quite the kick-ass as well. What we're always missing from each and every single Batman thus far is Batman's actually a ninja, guys. Kind of like you're Naruto or Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Scroll. Batman's a ninja. He's a trained ninja, like a Japanese guy from ancient times, the Dynasty era. Batman's a ninja, guys. He can manipulate the shadows, he moves in the shadows, he blends in the shadows, he takes advantage of the shadows, he'll kick your ass in the shadows, and he can break your mind because he's super intelligent, he's like a detective. So this is who the Batman actually is. The question here is, why did we step away from like the husky teddy bear kind of style, brown hair, brown eyed, and go more towards the blue? Does this mean that we're going to start seeing a blonde Batman on the screen at some stage, blonde and blue? So Robert Pattinson obviously played the Batman in 2022, and his eyes are obviously very blue yet again. His Batman had a lot of potential, but I would say he fell short from what the Batman actually was or is, or what I expected to see achieved, especially coming from Ben Affleck's Batman, because I wanted to see a hell of a lot more kick-ass, a lot more blood, a lot more brutality, a little more. Though he did have a crazy approach, which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was perfect, and Alfred was like the brains of the operation. I think they fell short of who the Batman was and brought us right the way back to maybe it just felt a bit too immature for me. So taking Pattinson's Batman and saying, would we like to see this Batman as a key role player in our gaming industry? I would say that would likely put a dip in the into the market of the Batman franchise. I think Ben Affleck's version was the best and was the best suited for the gaming industry, and also for the movie screen. Someone I'd like to see come back onto the screens my darn self. So where do we sit with this one, guys? Is Batman blue-eyed, or is he, as he was created, brown-eyed, brown hair. And it's just something that we want to stay close to. Joe Clooney was obviously a very, very handsome, charming looking dude, and he played the role pretty darn neat. If he did step back to the role of the Batman, would that be quite the kick-ass Batman? And yeah, so that was the idea. That was the notion. That's what I want to push on to you guys. This is where the video is going to get to for now, guys. I'm going to leave you guys with the play out. It's your boy Patience. So you guys like what you be season hers and leave your thumbs, your likes, and those comments down below. It's your boy Patience. Over now.
This is Vicky Vale reporting live from Arkham City, the controversial super prison built right here in the heart of Gotham. In a few moments, Bruce Wayne will be live on stage to explain his sudden interest in Gotham politics. The infamous Playboy millionaire has never been one
It's
to...
billionaire, Vicky. Millionaires were so last year.
I assume that you thought yourself untouchable. Well, as you can see, no one is untouchable.
Thank you! Thank you, Gotham! Imprisoned behind these walls, gang leaders are fighting a bloody war in the middle of our once great city. Every inmate from Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Prison has been relocated to this facility. How can this be safe for the people of Gotham?
Shut Arkham City down. It's out of control.
Shut it down. By the end of tonight, I will be a hero, just like you. Batman.
Today, I'm starting the campaign to close Arkham City and make Gotham safe again. Remember, Wayne is the priority target. Surround him!
Hands in the air, Wayne. We have Wayne.
Target secured.
I feel I should thank you. Capturing Bruce Wayne is so much easier than Batman. And now that we have you, Protocol 10 is ready to begin. It will be my legacy, a monument to your failure. And if you try to stop me, I guarantee everyone will know your secret.
Thank you.